Good afternoon, Bitcoiners. It's Mark Berger, your Bitcoin consultant here on Sunday, Ju August 2nd at about 11:37 a.m. We're at Bitcoin block height 960,745, price at around $63,000. I wanted to give you a quick update because there's been some big news in the Bitcoin community. If you haven't heard already, there has been a major vulnerability discovered in one of the most popular Bitcoin hardware wallets manufactured by ColdCard, actually by CoinKite, but all of their ColdCard wallets are vulnerable to being drained. In other words, all the Bitcoin can be taken from these wallets. Now, this is a horrible situation, and the bug was publicly disclosed Thursday night. And since then, about 1,300 Bitcoin have been stolen from people, which is really an awful situation. I want to say to all of my clients right now, I have never recommended a cold card wallet to any of my clients, and this was one of the reasons. So you have nothing to worry about if you're one of my clients. And please contact me anytime if you have any concerns about your Bitcoin or your security setup. It is not a problem whatsoever if you need to confirm. In fact, one of my clients contacted me this morning on a Sunday morning asking me, are they safe? And I was proud and honored to respond, you're perfectly safe, because the Cold Card wallet is just one of many wallets that are available in the marketplace. So to put this in context, imagine you have a real wallet, a billfold, and you maybe have the brand Calvin Klein. And the Calvin Klein wallet has, like, it's poorly made and it has a hole, and the dollar bills or your coins start falling out of the wallet. That's a real problem. And some people, they can lose their money that way. But that's not a reason to abandon the use of cash money whatsoever. It's the same thing with Bitcoin here. Cold Card was just one form of wallet. It had nothing to do with Bitcoin whatsoever, except that this was a tool that many Bitcoiners used. The tool was flawed, and it's a horrible story. Technically, I'm not going to get into it, but it had to do with a programming error, basically. And no one was able to check the programming error because it is a closed source software operating uh, that no one could check. In open source software, anyone can check to see if the software is safe and it's secure. But in the case of ColdCard, this wasn't true. So imagine someone says, "Oh, well, you lost money out of your Calvin Klein wallet. That means you shouldn't use a Polo wallet or a Burberry wallet or whatever type of wallet. Just abandon wallets altogether and keep your money in the bank. Use credit cards. Use the banks. Don't use cash because, this Calvin Klein wallet proves that, cash is very dangerous and you're going to lose all your wealth." Well, I mean, that's kind of the story that we're getting right now in terms of Bitcoin. There's a lot of talk out there that no one should be self-custodying your Bitcoin. You shouldn't be taking control and becoming free and sovereign with your Bitcoin. You shouldn't be holding the private keys. And these are the things that really unlock Bitcoin and allow you to have ownership. If you put your Bitcoin in a bank or in an exchange, you don't have Bitcoin. You don't have control of the Bitcoin. If you buy a Bitcoin ETF like the BlackRock IBIT, you don't really own Bitcoin. You own an IOU for Bitcoin. And what's the problem with IOUs? Well, people renege on these promises that I owe you Bitcoin. And that's what Bitcoin's greatest, quality probably is we can take custodianship. We can take control of our wealth by holding Bitcoin in cold storage. Now, the trick is, how do we do this? And of course, this is what I'm here to do. And I've served, over 100 clients in the last 4 years. I have never once recommended the cold card, partially because of this reason. And I have recommended all other wallet vendors. Now, a couple of my clients have come to me and said, "Oh, I have heard that this cold card is the most secure. It's air gapped. It's this, it's that, it's this, it's the best. I want to use this." Okay, you want to hire me to help you set up your cold card? Fine. And that's what I have done for people. But I told them, I don't recommend this. First of all, it's very complicated. Secondly, I don't think it has, the best security. And third, you're probably just going to, you're going to trip yourself up and you're going to make a mistake yourself because it's very complicated. And sometimes when something looks complicated, the idea is it must be secure if I don't fully understand it. It must be, it must be really good if it's, if it's very complicated. The more complicated it is, the stronger the security. But in my experience working with clients, the simpler things are, the better. And yes, we have to put our trust somewhere when we buy a hardware wallet. We have to trust that this hardware wallet is actually secure and is going to keep our Bitcoin safe. But the great thing about most Bitcoin wallets is that we can actually see the source code. We can actually check things. Many eyes around the world are looking at the code and the firmware and the chip designs of these hardware wallets to ensure that they're safe. So, you know, the bottom line is don't get spooked out about this hardware wallet breach of ColdCard. To me, it's very suspicious because there's a lot of movement in the Bitcoin community, the Bitcoin space. The Clarity Act is being debated right now in the Senate. Michael Saylor and BlackRock and Coinbase have teamed up to create a $15 million slush fund for core developers. Um, and it all seems like there's this movement to get our Bitcoin from us. Now, they're not necessarily going to steal it outright, but they want us to custody our Bitcoin at Coinbase. They want us to custody it at BlackRock through their ETFs, and other banks want to custody our Bitcoin. They want to have our Bitcoin. Yeah, okay, in name, we might own the Bitcoin, but we really don't control the Bitcoin. We really don't own it. And so this is the real problem here, is that we have to keep Bitcoin pure. We have to keep Bitcoin in self-custody because this is what's going to dismantle the banking system that allows the creation of infinite money. And infinite money is what keeps our infinite wars going in Iran, in the Ukraine. This infinite wars, infinite money printing is what keeps the pharmaceutical industry creating bogus products for us and creating bogus pandemics. The infinite money printer is what keeps inflation going. So Bitcoin is our opportunity to destroy the money printer, to destroy central banks, to achieve a revolution. And a revolution is simply returning to the source. And what source are we talking about? We're talking about going back to sound money. Humans have always understood what sound money is. And Bitcoin is the latest iteration of sound money. And we have the opportunity to bring the world into a Bitcoin standard like we once had a gold standard. And this standard won't be imposed by governments on high, just like the gold standard wasn't imposed by some top-down centralized organization. The gold standard was adopted in the late 19th century because everyone recognized this was the best money. Sound money is the way to live. Sound money is the foundation of our civilization. So Bitcoin is the next iteration of sound money. But in order for Bitcoin to be adopted, someone's got to adopt it. That's got to be us. We've got to take custody of Bitcoin. We've got to accept Bitcoin when we do our businesses. We've got to spend Bitcoin when we deal with vendors and producers. This is how the revolution goes on. Now, I know many people have got into Bitcoin because it seemed like a great investment, and it has been the best performing asset over the last 10 years, 15 years. So the attraction to get into Bitcoin is, oh, I'm going to get wealthy. I'm going to have an easy life. But the real reason you stay with Bitcoin and you don't jump ship when the going gets tough, like maybe it's getting tough right now, if you're doubting Bitcoin, when the going gets tough, you stick with it, and you have to check yourself as to really, why am I in this? Are you in this simply to, get some more fiat dollars, or are you really in this to set civilization straight again, to go back to the sound money system that'll be there for our children and grandchildren, and to liberate people all around the world? So please, if you have any questions about your security setup and clients, I haven't had to help you because none of you have cold cards, except for the couple that did come to me and said, Mark, I want you to help me set up a cold card. And I have talked to them and I'm working with them and getting their stuff off of cold card. But otherwise, call me anytime, send me a text, send me an email. It is not a problem to contact me if you have concerns. Once you are my client, you're like in my fraternity, okay? We are in this together. Okay, it's not just a business relationship. We are in this together as Bitcoiners. We are in a greater mission than just, you know, preserving wealth and getting wealthy, okay? So with that said, It's great to be on this journey with you, and please refer friends and family. I think this event has validated the work that I've done for clients over the last 4 years, and I am a trustworthy person. I am not perfect, but I only can respond to the information that we have available. And the information that we have available is that there's nothing wrong with Bitcoin. This was one hardware manufacturer that I saw as a problem from the very beginning. So hold on there, and we've got a big event coming in 1 week. We've got the activation of Bitcoin Improvement Proposal 110, and that should be a huge revelation to everyone and could be potentially a catalyst for a price higher. So I'll keep you up to date as the news comes in. All right, have a great Sunday, everybody.